welcome back. This could be part 7 of the Frontline. I want to make a new base. The guy who owns the game put a new front on here because it was busted up, but the sides and everything are just destroyed. It's just old plywood and it's just all beat to shit. So we're going to make all 4 new pieces. Before I tear this apart, let's cut the 4 pieces that I need. And it looks like it's 19 inches wide by 19 3/4. So I need 2 pieces that are 19 3/4 and 2 pieces that are 19. Believe it or not, this is actually 3 5/8 tall rather than a traditional 3 1/2. So if you were to get a 1x4, the 1x4 would measure 3 1/2. So in theory, it would be an 1/8 inch smaller. Does an 1/8 inch really matter? No, it doesn't. But I didn't have any 1x4s here, so I used a 1x6 and I cut it to 3 5/8 just because that's what I had here. I didn't feel like running to the store to grab one 1x4. But normally I just use a 1x4 because I'm not worried about the 1/8 of an inch. So let's make 2 19s. Now that's outer dimensions, and then we'll make 2 19 3/4. So let's get these 4 cut, and then we can tear this thing apart. I just have my little miter box here set up. My blade's dull. All right, now we can work on getting this apart. Pop out all these screws. I'll Phillips screws in here. We're going to use the right kind of screws. Probably going to go get 4 new brackets because these really aren't the right looking brackets. Now I like to paint this base before I put the brackets back on. The wheels I'm probably just going to leave on and paint around them. And this is what the bracket's supposed to look like. So I'll probably go grab 4 new ones of those and put new screws in them as well. Need an extension. I got it. Now I saved this stuff because, you know, I could clean it up. You might use it someday. But for now, save them. Never know. All right, so now I got to carefully try to get this wood off of here. I need some blocks to cut for the corners. Okay, I gotta cut off these staples that are hanging out, clean up the wood. I gotta cut a couple blocks. I'll just do that off camera, get those blocks cut, and then we'll reattach the new piece. Paint the bottom here, flip it over. I want to paint the inside as well and the back piece, and then let it set for a little bit, and then we'll put the metal brackets on. And then at that point, I'll be ready to clean the bolts and put the cabinets together. I was going to work on the control panel, but I might just concentrate on putting the cabinet back together just so I don't have a bunch of parts laying around, and then we'll work on the control panel and the coin door. Now, one of these 2 stud things popped out here. I do have another one that I need to put back in there as well. That threads in the power supply, the original power supply and power brick and stuff. Not the power supply. I think this one's for the power brick. That holds the power brick in place. So let me cut a couple little corner pieces, and then we'll clean this up and we'll get it nailed in. Okay, I'm gonna use my cutoff wheel and get any staples that are hanging out first, and then I'll use my little grinder and grind the glue off. Got that all done. You know what? I think I'm gonna take the wheels off just so I can clean up the hardware, make it look a little nicer. You know what? What's an extra couple minutes really? Grab a socket here. I think it's a 3/8. I think. Yes, sir. Those ones are 7/16. Tight fit. I'll just wire wheel this hardware, clean it up a little bit, clean up the brackets because there's like overspray and shit on it. I know nobody's ever gonna see it. Just bothers me. Doesn't take much to do it. A couple extra minutes makes me feel better, I guess I'd say. Just knowing that I did it correctly. All right, so now we got to put these nail and glue these pieces of wood on, and then we're ready to put some paint on it. We're just gonna use a paintbrush, nothing crazy. I have 2 shorts and 2 longs. All right, so now we gotta do a lot of gluing here. Get this glued up and then shoot a bunch of nails in, or staples rather. I like using staples. They hold a little bit nicer. Now when I go to, I'm gonna run to Home Depot and get new brackets for the corners. Once again, kind of being dumb about it, but I'm gonna grab 4 plastic sliders. I like to put those on the bottom of these 1-bys so that you could slide this around and it slides real easy and you don't put a bunch of pressure on the wood. I'll show you. I'll just nail them into the 4 corners, and it's all it does is just, like I said, it just makes the cabinet easily, you can easily move it around then, and you don't have to worry about, so for instance, the wood, if you're just sliding it on the wood itself, it really puts a lot of strain on it, and it could buckle it and make it break. By putting those gliders on there, it stops that from happening. They just nail right into the wood. Oops, screwed up on that one. And you can see this barely went in all the way. It sticks like a son of a bitch. Yeah, I think it's freaking in there and it's barely in there. And I've somehow lost my knife. There it is on the floor. Let's see if I can pop this out without having to go get a bunch of tools. All right. You don't need a ton of nails. The glue is going to hold it once it dries too. Plus those brackets on here will also help it. Okay. I'm using 1 3/8 staples, or 1 1/4. With this amount of staples and glue, it won't go anywhere. This is a Tight Bond 3 wood glue that I've been using. I used to use Tight Bond 2, but I kind of like the 3 better. It's the ultimate wood glue and it's waterproof interior, exterior. I think it just holds up a little bit better because you got to keep in mind, most of these games are sitting on concrete, so they're going to collect moisture. So you might as well have a glue that's a little bit better. Okay, that's all nailed in. That's all good. I need to sand the back plate, and then we are ready to put some paint on it with a paintbrush. Let it dry, and then paint the top side. So the rest of this part, I'm just going to kind of fast forward through it while I'm painting and sanding, and then we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna let that soak in for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then put one more coat on. I'll do that off camera. Then I'll flip it over and paint the other side as well. And then at that point, once it dries, we'll be able to start putting it back together. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish the painting off camera. You see how I'm doing it. I'm using actually just a Rust-Oleum latex paint for underneath here and on the bottom. As long as it covers up the wood, it just adds a layer of protection. These were never painted originally on the insides, they were bare wood. I like to put a coat of paint on the bottom just to help prevent future moisture from getting into the wood. 2 coats of that soaking into the wood definitely gives it a little bit of protection. So I'll be back in a little while. Okay, the bottom has 2 coats. I have 1 coat on the top. I'm waiting for that coat to dry. I'm gonna put 1 more coat on. While I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna use this wire wheel over here, which there's not really much left to it anymore. It's getting old, it's falling apart. And I'm gonna clean up these wheels, these wheel brackets, and all the angle brackets here for the cabinet. And then I'm just gonna spray them with some silver spray paint. I wanna clean off the rust so that when I spray paint them, they don't rust again. That's all I'm after. And actually probably get most of this with my sander. Let me grab my DA sander. I have a piece of 180 on here. This actually might work better. Yeah, it works way better. It's faster. Sometimes a wire wheel will kind of smear it around rather than just taking it off. So this works really good. So I'm gonna get all these cleaned up. And then I'll come back, put a coat of silver spray paint on it. And then we gotta paint the speaker grills. And then whatever's in this little bucket right here. Spray paint this block. This holds the door. We got a couple speaker grills here. I want to spray paint both sides of these, the hinges and stuff like that, just so everything looks nice and clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all this stuff cleaned up, and then I'll be back and we'll spray these. And then by that time, I should be ready for my last coat of black on the inside of the cabinet. Okay, I have all these cleaned up, including the coin box. Now I want to show you something. I've seen this quite a few times, and I think the reason why the operators did this back in the day was, okay, so the original Tato power supplies were very problematic. They always had issues. I think basically within the first probably 6 months to a year of having a brand new game, the power supplies were failing. There was nothing but problems. And you'll notice on some of these Tato games, you'll see this, man, I can't think of the name of this thing. I think this is a bridge rectifier. You'll see them, they took them off of the power supply and they mounted them to the back of the coin boxes. I think they did that to try to keep the heat down maybe off of the power supply. I'm not 100% sure, but I have seen it quite a few times on these games. I think back in the day, I don't know, in the early 80s to mid 80s, did they even have switching power supplies back then? So I don't think they did. So my guess is they were doing whatever they could to try to get those original power supplies to work. And I think this was one of their methods, was put thermal paste on it, stick it to the back of here, and use this as a cooling to cool this down. That's my guess. I could be wrong. If anybody can correct me or tell me, yes, that's why they did that, I'd really like to know, because I have seen it quite a few times. So I'm going to be using this high heat Krylon Max aluminum color. This looks really good, as I always say. You can see the lid. That's pretty much how it dries. It's almost original color to what the bare metal looks like. So I'm just going to put a nice coat on everything, inside and out on the box. I sanded everything down. This can's almost empty. You don't have to put a ton of it on, okay? But you want to protect the metal, because if you don't, you've sanded it and you don't protect it with something, it's just going to corrode it on you. even quicker than it did the first time, because now you've sanded it and opened up the metal. Now, yeah, I go pretty overkill on stuff when I restore it. I do it for a reason. The reason why I do it is I want this stuff to be around for another 40 years, okay? I want this stuff to be around when I'm no longer around. I want to be part of that, you know? I want to be part of saving this stuff for future generations to see, because I just think it's cool. It's like, I like going to museums and stuff too and seeing old stuff, you know? That's just how I am. And I think it's just kind of cool to try to preserve this stuff, and hopefully the people that these games go to take care of them, you know? Or they're going to be back in the same shape as they are when I start restoring them, which hopefully that's not the case, but you never know. But yeah, wouldn't it be pretty cool to have a game from the early 80s to mid 80s, you know, in another 40 years from now, when it's, you know, an 80, 90-year-old game and the thing's still working? I think that's pretty badass. So these are drying. I'm gonna clean up those wheels. I have not done that yet. I'm gonna tape off the wheel itself, because these wheels, you cannot take the wheel out of them. Midway games, you can. On a midway game, they have an E-clip that comes off and the wheel will slide out. In this instance, they don't have that. I guess I could, in theory, take that out and just put a bolt through there, and maybe I'll do that so I can really clean these nicely. Let me see how hard it is to get this open. I bet you I can probably do it fairly easy, because then I can really clean the wheel and everything and make it look really nice. Once again, a little overkill. Just trying to prolong the life of this stuff, guys. Let me go grab a hammer and see if I can't work on getting that open. I could also grind that off, but then I'm going to grind the bracket, and I'd rather not get grinding marks all in the bracket. Stupid mosquitoes already. Gets nice out a couple days and damn mosquitoes are everywhere. All right, I got that out. And to be honest with you, you know what I might do? I might drill a hole in the center of that pin and then put this pin back in and then drive a screw through that side. And that will hold it in place. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these sanded down, paint them with that silver paint, and then I'll be back. Second coat of paint's on these. There's 2 coats of paint of silver on everything. That's drying. I still got some black parts to do over there. I'm lightly going to spray those wheels with some black paint, at least the sides of them, so they look better. So I'm going to drill these pins and put a bolt in there to hold them. So basically, I cleaned the pins up. I'm going to drill through the center of them, and I'm going to put a 1024 screw in there, okay? So I have a 1024 tap here. So since we have a 1024 tap, we need to figure out what size drill bit does a 1024 tap require. Okay, I'm just double checking here. Okay, so if we come over to the chart over here, on my side of my cabinet over here, a 1024 tap is a drill bit size 26, which is equivalent to 11/64. So we need an 11/64 drill bit, and that's what I have out right now. So we're going to drill through the pin and then thread it. And then in theory, that should hold the pin in. It's not like the pin is under a lot of load for a very long time. It's just enough to move the cabinet around by the wheels, you know. It's not like it gets rolled on it every day, so it should be just fine. So we need to get our 11/64 drill bit in here. I'm not going to clamp this down right now. I don't think it needs it. So we're going to take one of our pins in here. We're going to tighten it down into this vise, and I'm just going to slide this over. I think it'll stay straight enough for what I need to do. We're not, we don't have to be super precise here. We're not building a car motor. And we're going to drill down probably about 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch. Just take your time with it. Don't rush it. Take our tap and I'm going to try tapping it without any oil. I don't think it needs it because it's aluminum and it should be pretty soft. Get it started, back it off a little bit. Stupid fucking mosquitoes. I'm gonna have to use a little oil. Might be too many shavings in there too. So I have some oil here for drilling and tapping. Let me move this over to here so I can sit down. Let me get my glue gun and blow the shavings out of there too. This is just a cheap Harbor Freight tap and die. I don't do a ton of this, so I'm not too worried about it. I actually might have bottomed out. I might not have drilled that deep enough. No, I did not. So now I'm gonna have to drill it deeper, which could potentially screw up the threads that I already did, but it should be okay. It'll grab the threads farther down. And I'm gonna put some red Loctite on them, and the red Loctite's gonna hold them in as well. Now with the washer on there, we should be perfect. So now I'm going to go do the other one. If you're wondering how I'm getting this straight, what I'm doing is there's jaws that are open on the bottom side of this. So if you drag the bolt along there and make sure that it's pulled up straight, it'll be straight in here. Straight enough. Like I said, we're not doing anything super precision here, so it's not like got to be within 100 thousandths or anything. That'll work. So leave those in there for now. All right, that's done. Now I'm gonna get these, I'll just do this off camera. I'm gonna get the wheels and the speaker grills painted. And then once those dry, we can put those together. All right, I'm gonna put these wheels back together. And then I gotta run up to Home Depot, get those brackets so we can finish up the base. And then I'll be ready to start polishing the bolts so that the cabinet can go back together. I don't think I need any Loctite. Actually, I think I'm going to add another washer on there to make it a little bit, you know what, maybe I'll grind down the head a little bit. I want it to go a little bit tighter so the pin goes all the way through both sides. Okay, so here's the difference. So I ground down the length of the screw a little bit. Now this pin makes it through this side and it rolls nice and straight and it's nice and sturdy. Here's the difference between without doing that. See how this flops up and down like that? So I'm going to go ahead and take some off of that screw as well. probably really hot. Here we go. Nope, that's a little too tight. Beautiful. All right, now I can stick these back on, and then like I said, I'm gonna have to run out and get some stuff. I gotta get some more wood glue too. This is still a little bit wet, but it'll be okay. We're getting these back on. And I dropped the freaking camera. Whoops. You guys went for a ride there. Okay. I did clean the carriage bolts and stuff. So I got the rust and stuff off of them with the wire wheel. Grab my socket here. Get these on. I'll let it dry for a little bit while I go get what I need. Then we'll get the brackets on and the base will be done. Man, is it windy out. Yeah. Oops. Beautiful. I don't want to flip it over yet because the top's still a little wet, but look at how much nicer that looks. Now we'll get our corner brackets on. I guess I probably should have put those on before the wheels, but hopefully I can get the screw around there. I did that last time too. But all right, I'm gonna go get what I need and then I'll be back. All right, I got the brackets. I got another box of screws. These are the brackets I'm using. And these are the plastic sliders I was telling you about. These came from Home Depot. No, Lowe's. I got these at Lowe's because Home Depot only had 2 of these brackets in stock. Then I had to go to Lowe's to get the other 2. Okay, so here's the kicker. Identical brackets. Different manufacturer, identical. A set of 2 at Home Depot were like $4. So I ran to Lowe's 2 minutes down the road from Home Depot, and a 2-pack from Home Depot or Lowe's is $7. So that's ridiculous. And then these came from Lowe's. So I'm not going to put the felt pads on there. I just leave the plastic on there once I hammer them in. So I went on Amazon, and you can get a 20-pack of these 2-inch wide, which is more to what they should be. They should be about a 2-inch wide. You can get a 20-pack on Amazon stainless steel ones for $17. So if anybody is interested in these or needs some of these, let me know. I could put the link in the description of this video, and so that you can order those. It's because the original ones are actually 2 inches. Like here's an old one right here. So it's actually 2 inches by like 2 1/8, but that's fine. So I have them in my Amazon cart, 2 inches wide by 2 inches long. So, all right, let's get set up there. We'll get these put on. We'll nail on 4 of those sliders. And then at that point, I believe we are ready to put this cabinet together. Actually, I have to polish the bolts before I put the cabinet together. So I'll have to do that next. When I make the Tato cabinets from scratch, I am going to use these angle brackets on the inside, just like they did originally. What I'll do is I'll take one of these original brackets that I have, and when I order those brackets on Amazon, I will take one of these original ones and I'll just drill holes in them. So it looks like that one lines up fine. I'll just have to drill another hole right there, and then we'll be able to put these bolts, carriage bolts, right through, just like they did from the factory. Obviously, I'm gonna have to buy some more carriage bolts too, but that's not a big deal. I'll find a link for those on Amazon as well. And that'll work out good. I can just polish the heads of them and it'll be good. All right, so we're just gonna kind of put these in the middle here. Now these came with Phillips screws, but I use these because this is what they originally used. Plus, to be honest with you, I'd rather use one of these than a damn Phillips screw anymore, because Phillips screws just strip out easily. The screws I'm using for these are number 10, 3/4 inch long. So the wheel's in the way. So what I'm going to do is just take that screw out, remove the pin, and slide the wheel out. Then I can get the screws in the brackets and just put the wheel back on. But I seem to have misplaced my Phillips bit. I don't know where I put that one, but I'll just grab another one here. So just pop these wheels off real quick. base of this cabinet is just as strong as it was when it was new. And I'll show you once again how I'm going to polish those, but I'm not going to video the whole thing. It's pretty boring. Now we can put the wheels back in. Got one more bracket to put on the corner up there, and then we're ready for the sliders, and then I'm done with the base. Yeah, kind of a lot of work to get to this point, but worth it in the end, I think. Knocked over the whole thing. All right, grab those sliders, we'll hammer those on real quick, and then I got to set up the buffer. For an 8-pack of these sliders, it's $7, somewhere around that, like I said, from Lowe's. So I'm going to stick these right here. Benefit of having these things is your wood is not touching the floor itself, the concrete. So it helps to keep, you know, moisture out of your wood. So this base is done. I can put this on the floor. All right, so now need to get the buffer set up. I hate using that buffer in the shop. I wish it was nice outside. It's dark now anyways. I've been doing a bunch of stuff today, but I wish it was nice outside because this puts fur everywhere in the shop. But I'm not gonna polish, hopefully. I mean, there's quite a few bolts, but hopefully it won't be too bad. So let me get it set up and then I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. All right, let me show you here. Got my buffer set up. We're using the Green Rouge compound. It is, this polish is used for copper, brass, stainless steel, and steel. Okay, so what we want to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like before and after. There's some of these still have a tiny bit of paint on them. I'm probably have to wire wheel them off. Let's find two that don't have paint on them currently. And I'll show you a before and after. Okay, so this is what they look like first. Kind of dull silver. So we want to put a little bit of this stuff onto the wheel. There's fuzz already blowing around. So here's our before and after, guys. See if I can get it in the camera good. And I'll do the bigger one again real quick, just to show you. But you can get these things looking like chrome. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these done. Then I'll come back, and at that point we should be ready to put the cabinet together. Okay, all the carriage bolts and everything are polished. I even went a little crazy and polished the latches. You know what? Why not? So now they look like chrome. These turned out real nice. 40 of these is what it takes to put one of these cabinets together. 40 of the littler carriage bolts. I'm going to do this a little differently than I did last time. If you remember last time, I held up one side at a time onto the base. I think this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together the front and the two sides on the floor and then pick up those three pieces and set them on the base. I think that'll be a little bit easier for me to manage doing by myself than the way I did it last time. So I just want to get it started, the two pieces. Now these I'm not putting any glue on. They originally had maybe a little bit of glue, but nothing major. And such a tight fit, because there's still some glue in the joint, I'd rather just leave it as is, because if it ever needed to come apart again, it could easily without destroying anything. The cabinet's a little dusty right now. I have to wipe it off after. Now, of course, because of the tumbler, there is sand stuck in the nuts, which kind of sucks. But that always happens. It's one of the downfalls of using the tumbler. All right, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to get all 4 brackets on the front lower, you know, the top and bottom on each side, and have the sides connected. And then maybe I'll put the, I don't know if I want to put the top and stuff together. No, probably not. I'll just get the 3 pieces and set it onto the base. All right, that's all for today. It's in one piece again. We'll finish putting it together tomorrow as far as the monitor brackets, the back door. Hopefully I can just clean the coin door and paint that and put that on. It's getting there. Looks real good. This is probably gonna be one of the nicest looking Frontline cabinets around. Put the speakers in tomorrow. I don't know how dirty the monitor is. I'll look at it. If it's not real dirty, we'll put that in. If it's filthy, then I'll wash it and then we'll put it in. But we'll see what happens. So that's going to end part 7, guys. We are getting there. I got to order T-molding still. I got to see about a power supply. I think I might have to buy a switching power supply for this because I don't know that he brought one or not. I have to look at what he brought. I have not honestly looked at it. Still got to do the control panel. So I'm hoping to jam out some more of this tomorrow. I have to work on that truck and the other truck for a little bit. So we'll see what happens. But it's getting there. Very happy with the way it's looking. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask, guys. If you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up. Other than that, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.